Chapter 4. Enter the silence. Silence is power. Silence is the healing activity in the individual consciousness. Science is the creative principle of all existence. In this silence, you become receptive to the inner voice, the voice of the inner self. And as truth expresses itself in your listening ear, you become aware of the healing influences with signs following. Your receptivity to the kingdom of God, God consciousness, God awareness, God knowing, constitutes a healing atmosphere. Heretofore, the work of the student has been to bring about harmony in this experience through the statement or affirmation of truth, or reading or quoting truth. Now he rises higher in consciousness to where he constantly and consciously, quote-unquote, listens for truth to utter itself within him. He learns the true nature of silence, of stillness and quietness. It is easy to understand why the sages of old taught, quote, "Be still and know that I am God," end of quote. That this stillness declares the presence of God. Quote, "Closer than breathing, nearer than hands and feet," end of quote. It reveals that neither man nor circumstance nor condition can be powers over your affairs, since that which declared itself to be, quote-unquote, I, within you is God, is power, is presence. Also, now know why you can never be God, but that God is inseparable from your very being. All this reveals itself to you in the silence. Always remember that it is not the thoughts you think nor the truths you read, but rather that which has revealed itself in quietness and confidence. This is God, the restorer of harmony in your existence. It is not the thoughts who think, but the thoughts which unfold to you within your own being. These constitute your guidance and inner wisdom. It is not so much the thoughts of truth you declare, as the consciousness of truth you develop through your inner receptivity. That brings God government into your body and outer affairs. The activity of truth in your consciousness is the light which dispels the darkness of human sense. It is not what you think about truth, but what truth knows and declares to you. Not what you affirm to divine mind, but what it reveals to you. This is the silence. This is the power. In quietness and confidence, in stillness and silence, love reveals its comforting presence and assures us that, quote, underneath are the everlasting arms, end of quote, upholding and supporting us even in trial and tribulation. The heading over the 23rd Psalm is, quote, David's confidence in God's grace, end of quote. Can you not feel this calm confidence as you read, quote, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, end of quote. Here there is no petition, no supplication, and above all, no doubt or fear. Since the Lord is his shepherd, how could he want? Quote, He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me besides the still waters. End of quote. The peace that passes understanding enfolds me as I realize I cannot escape from my good, since He not only provides me with green pastures, but he maketh me to lie down in them. He not only gives me still waters, but he leadeth me beside the still, calm waters of peace. Quote, he restoreth my soul. End of quote. Even though it has been scarlet with sin or unrestful in sickness, yet, quote, he restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. End of quote. And though I am still will be tempted with desire, yet for his name's sake, he leadeth me out of sin into righteousness, out of disease into the righteousness of health. Quote, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. End of quote. David's confidence in God's grace is still felt, even in the valley of the shadow of death, since even here David feels no fear. Quote, for thou art with me. End of quote. O God, that I too might be still and know no fear, since in the valley of the shadow of death, quote, thou art with me. End of quote. You can only experience fear if you believe that, in the midst of your discords and inharmony, God has deserted you. Never, in scarlet sin or dangerous disease, will you fear, once you attain David's confidence, that even in the valley of the shadow of death, quote, thou art with me. End of quote. Let the beloved silence descend upon you, too, as you realize with all your being, thou art with me. Quote, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. End of quote. God's grace always manifests in the human form of rod, staff, food, or water. This grace, appearing as my good, comforts me. This assurance of the presence of that which fulfills, protects, sustains. This comforts me. Quote, thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. End of quote. Where lack and limitation threaten, God's grace prevails. My soul is filled with inspiration, and my heart overflows with joy and gratitude. This evidence is abundance through grace that fills me, satisfies me, and my heart sings for joy in his presence. Quote, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me in all my days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. End of quote. How confident, how positive David is as he sings, quote, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me. End of quote. And how secure he feels in his timelessness of God's grace as he declares that this goodness and mercy, quote, shall follow me all the days of my life. End of quote. Blessed assurance of the omnipresence, quote, all the days of my life. End of quote. And, of course, quote, I will dwell in this consciousness of God forever. Yes, God consciousness shall be my home forever. End of quote. Quote, the former things have passed away. End of quote. And, quote, all things are becoming new. End quote. Quote again. Whereas I was blind, now I see. End quote. And not, quote, through a glass darkly, end quote, but face to face, end quote. Yes, even in my flesh I have seen God. The hills have rolled away and there is no mistake, no more horizon, but the light of heaven makes all things plain. Long have I sought thee, O Jerusalem, but only now have my pilgrim feet touched the soil of heaven. The waste place are no more. Fertile lands are before me, the like of which I have never dreamed. Oh, truly, quote, there shall be no night there, end quote. The glory of it shines as the noonday sun. There is no need of light, for God is the light thereof. I sit down to rest in the shade of trees. I rest and find my peace in Thee. Within Thy grace is peace, O Lord. In this world I was weary. In Thee I have found rest. In the dense forest of words I was lost. In the letter of truth was tiredness and fear. But in Thy Spirit only is shade and water and rest. How far I have wandered from Thy Spirit, O tender one, and how, O true, how far, how far. How deeply lost I have been in the maze of words, words, words. But now am I returned, and in Thy Spirit shall I ever find my life, my peace, my strength. Thy Spirit is the bread of life, finding which I shall never hunger again. Thy Spirit is a wellspring of water, drinking which I shall never thirst again. As a weary wanderer, I have sought Thee, and now my weariness is gone. Thy Spirit has formed a tent for me, and in its cool shade I linger. Peace fills my soul. Thy presence has filled me with peace. Thy love has placed me before a feast of spirit. Yes, Thy Spirit is my resting place, an oasis in the desert of the letter of truth. In Thee I will hide from the noise of the world of argument. In Thy consciousness find surcease from the noisiness of men's tongues. They divide Thy garment, O Lord of peace. They quarrel over the word until it becomes words and no longer word. As a beggar have I sought the new heaven and the new earth, and Thou hast made me heir of all. How shall I stand before Thee but in silence? How shall I honor Thee but in meditation of my heart? Praise and thanksgiving Thou seekest not, but the understanding heart Thou receivest. I will keep silent before Thee. My soul and my spirit and my silence shall be my dwelling, Thy dwelling place. Thy Spirit shall fill my meditation, and it shall make me preserve me whole, O tender one and true. I am home in Thee.